I'm Elizabeth and I'm here to talk about books. Today I want to do the 2018 Postscript book tag that was created by Adam over at Memento More. I was tagged by my friend Silje and I will leave links to both of them down in the description box. So this tag makes you reflect about some of the reading you did in the year just gone by, and without sort of meddling into the top 10 books of the year or your just normal yearly wrap-up. So I really like the questions and I'm eager to do them now. So the first question is the book, the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to read. So for the longest book, it's actually this one, the Rachel Rising Omnibus by Terry Moore, which clocks in at about 900 pages. I got this for Christmas as a present from Silje, who tagged me in this, and I read it in 2 days. It feels a bit of a cheat because this is a graphic work, so there isn't all that much text on each page, but 900 pages is still the longest book I read this year, and the runner-up, the longest novel I read, will be the answer to another question, so I'm gonna keep this as the answer to this. The book that has taken me the longest to read is definitely A Woman Looking at Men, Looking at Women by Silje. I started this in February and I still haven't finished it. Still have about 150 pages left, and I do intend to finish it, but it's going slowly now. This is an essay collection in 3 parts, where the first part are essays about art and writing and stuff like that, and then you have the second part, which is one 200-page long essay about the mind and the body and the relationship between them, and then the third part is another collection of essays more on the mind than the body, really, but these essays in the third part are written for people in those fields. So they're written for neurosurgeons or psychologists, and they are fairly dense. They are filled with quotations and with references to people and works I don't know, and it's hard work getting through it, and I will continue reading them, but I will be reading them one at a time, because I think that's about as much as my brain can handle, because I'm not as well read or as smart as Silje, but there are some really interesting thoughts and ideas in here, so I think it's worth the work, but it will take me a year to finish it. Question 2 is a book you read in 2018 that is out of your comfort zone. I would say that when it comes to books, my comfort zone is fairly big. I'm an eclectic reader and I like reading books from various different genres and countries and in different languages even. But I will say I don't normally read a lot of crime fiction or like thrillers, and I have read a couple of those this year. I think Snap by Belinda Bauer is classified as crime fiction, and Sunburn by Laura Lippman somewhere maybe a psychological thriller. I didn't much care for either one of them, if I'm completely honest, but I have read them in 2018 and they will be my answer for this question. Question 3 is how many books did you reread in 2018? As of today, that number is 7, but I think by the end of the year it will be 8, because I am 200 pages shy of finishing book number 8. And most of those books have been me rereading book 1 or book 1 and 2 in series before reading the third book. However, my favorite rereads of the year, which is question 4, is a standalone novel. It's my favorite novel of all time, and it's The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing. And this was only my second time reading it, and I loved it every bit as much as the first time. And I think I won't wait this long with rereading it next time. The most surprising thing for me was how much I like the foreword to this edition. It really sparked a lot of thoughts for me this time around, and it surprised me because I didn't remember that from my previous reading. But then I went and read an old blog post of mine that was made exclusively on the foreword to this edition, so apparently I felt the same the first time I read it. I had just forgotten that part. But yeah, this is my favorite book. I am going to talk more about this in a different video. But I also wanted to mention that I've also been rereading the First Law trilogy. These are the first two books. The last one is by my reading chair because that's the one I'm currently reading. The First Law series by Joe Abercrombie, which I think are my favorite fantasy books. I just love these so much. I read them with glee, and I'm a proper fangirl when it comes to the First Law series, and I put all critical reading aside and I just fall into the stories and I gorge myself on all the gory details, and I'm loving every page of it. Then you can ask, how moral is it to sit there and screeching in glee and cheering on as people chop each other to pieces? But you like what you like, I guess. Question 5 is a book you read for the first time in 2018 that you already look forward to rereading, and no question asked here. This is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I finally got around to reading Virginia Woolf this year after meaning to for ages. I have read quotes by her in many other books and I've always loved her quotes, but for some reason I've been putting off reading her actual books because I've been sure I would love them and I've been sort of saving them for later. But this year I picked up Mrs. Dalloway and I absolutely adored it. I struggled a bit with the first 30 pages. I liked the writing, but I didn't really feel it. But then when she is done with her walk through London and comes home, and from that point on I absolutely adored the book, and I felt so close to the characters and I just felt like I fell into the book and I didn't want to leave. And in 2019 I'm definitely going to be reading more Virginia Woolf, but I'm not sure on whether I want to read something else by her first, or if I just want to start with rereading this, which was one of the best reads of 2018 for me. Question 6 is your favorite short story or novella from 2018. I usually like reading short stories, but in 2018 I've hardly read any. I think I read the first 3 stories in The Dubliners by James Joyce before I'm going to Dublin in February this year. I've also read a short story collection by Margaret Atwood, but I don't really have any of the stories sticking out to me that I will remember to talk about today. As for novella, I'm not quite sure what the definition is, how short a novel needs to be a novella, but I think Islotte by Tarjei Vesaas or The Ice Palace by Tarjei Vesaas would fit the bill. I think it's about 120 odd pages and I adored this. I actually plan to reread this, but in English translation very soon, to make a comparison of the two, and I'm definitely planning on reading more Vesaas next year. I plan to reread The Birds, which I have already read, and I also want to read Hymen, or I think it's called Seed in English. That's my original plan at least, and we'll see how much of that I will do. So question 7 is Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. And I think the closest I will get to a book I liked this year that will appeal widely would probably be The Early King and the Kid in Yellow by Danny Denton. I'm looking this at the name when I'm saying it because I said it wrong the last time I mentioned this book. But this is a sort of dystopian novel set in a near future Ireland where climate has changed and it's been raining for I think about 100 years. The government has failed and the country is now run by criminal gangs, and you follow the Kid in Yellow as he is trying to get his son away from the Early King, which is one of the gang leaders, and the kid in yellow got the Early King's daughter pregnant, and she died in childbirth, and now the kid in yellow wants his son, and he's not really fit to being a parent. He's very young, and we follow his journey. But the thing about this book is mostly about the atmosphere and about just how the country is described, how everything just feels so gloomy and wet and soggy, and this downpour, eternal downpour. And I think this was a very moody and very well written book, and I would hope more people would read and enjoy it. The next question is related to that. It's called Specialized Appeal, a book you liked but would hesitate to recommend to everyone. And that would be a book I read at the very beginning of the year. It's called Condition of Secrecy by the Danish author Inger Christensen. It's an essay collection and I absolutely adored it. It's about writing, it's about creativity in general, but it's very cerebral, very philosophical. It's not like giving you specific advice on how to write. It's more discussing the theory of writing, the philosophy of writing, and it's absolutely gorgeous and I loved it to pieces, but I don't think it is for everyone. I think you need to be more than averagely interested in writing to be able to enjoy it, and you need to be able to read some fairly abstract ideas to appreciate it. But if you do, I highly recommend it. I think it was actually translated into English this fall, so I found it on Book Depository in English translation, so it does exist. Question 9 is to reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. And I think for me the key word of the year has been change, because I started the year as a book blogger writing in Norwegian, and I'm ending the year as a booktuber speaking English on camera. And that has been a big transition for me. So I have really enjoyed coming back to BookTube in September. It doesn't really feel like coming back, it feels like starting fresh, really, because I didn't really take part in the community aspect of BookTube. The last time I was here, I wasn't commenting on people's videos and nobody knew I was here really. This time around I'm trying to talk to people and I've really enjoyed that experience. I've gotten subscribers, which I'm very grateful for, so thank you so much to all of you who are watching my videos and subscribing and commenting. Really appreciate that. So far most of my videos have been like trial and error. I'm just trying out different staple formats of BookTube to see what I enjoy doing. I'm trying to get more comfortable in front of the camera and not look like a deer in headlight. And hopefully over the coming year I will be able to keep up with making at least one video a week and maybe get a bit more creative and a bit more personal as the year goes by and I get more comfortable with this video format. I've never really enjoyed seeing pictures of myself and seeing live pictures of myself and hearing myself speak. Takes some getting used to, but I'm getting there, I hope. So the last question is, of course, to tag someone. I think that by now most of the people I would like to tag have already actually done this, and there's not much left of the year anyways, so I'm gonna leave this open-ended and say that if you're watching this and haven't done this tag, please consider yourself tagged. I hope you're all having a lovely day, and until next time, bye bye.